Hi guys! So today I am in my comic shop again, here in Brampton, and gonna do some casual corner, and I'm actually gonna tell you about two tournaments I played, both for X-Men. Now I did manage to make it out to the X-Men pre-release that was done earlier in the month, and also I just played a game where it wasn't X-Men, it was just 400 points golden, but I played X-Men because I want to play with the new set. So for the pre-release, we ended up doing 2 boosters sealed, 300 points.
This is building itself. No ID cards?
No ID cards. X-Men pre-release.
Oh my god, I actually think I might
just
get
open boosters.
Are you knocking them down?
Magneto or...
Oh, nice.
Okay, title, Professor X.
Like, Prime and title rules still apply.
Title, Magneto. They can't be played together. I was laughing a lot because both my boosters, I opened the title Magneto and then the title Professor X, and you can't play more than one title character on your team. So I opened my pass and started laughing, and everybody's looking at me like I'm a crazy person. And then I showed them what I pulled. So I had to try and build my team, and the first thing I did was trying to build a theme team, because it was an X-Men set, and it ended up being really, really hard to build a theme team. So I could have gone with New Mutants, X-Factor, or X-Men, but none of them came close enough to 300 points to do a viable team. I think the closest I came was the New Mutants, but it was like 240 points. So it's like, I'm not gonna be that far under just to have a theme team. So instead I went with the title Magneto, the Cyclops, I believe is the X-Factor Cyclops, and Surge, and Skids, and then an X-Trainee and an X-Student. So I really wanted to put those guys, I could have put another low point character in for the 50 points, but I figured to put in the 2 students because, or the trainee and the student, because the female has hypersonic, and then the male has support, and support is a title character's best friend.
But you would have had to pay 70 points for that.
Will go wrong. So my first round was up against a young guy, I believe his name is Tristan, new to our venue, and he had the Headmaster Wolverine, Venus Build Milo, and Mystique, and I believe those are the only figures on his team. And so we played on a Golden Age map, but I don't recognize is inside of a prison, which actually has like the walkways that are elevated and the inside of the prison's lower down. So we kind of position, we get all set up, and then I go a little aggressive with the title Magneto, and I have it lined up to do a lot of good damage on Wolverine right off the bat. Or no, sorry, I targeted Mystique to just get her out of the way. And I only needed a 6 to hit, or a 5, and I rolled like a 4. And it was just like, oh no! But I thought I had put it in a place where Wolverine couldn't get me without realizing that he had traded sidestep. So I got a big Wolverine in my face to the point where, like, on round 2, turn 3, Wolverine was, or Magneto was almost dead. So I had got my other guys kind of back to him, and I had left my my support student hung back to be able to make that big attack with Magneto. So now I needed him to get back to his healer. So I'd move forward with Surge and my hypersonic student and Cyclops to kind of just go and deal with the rest of his team, but he was all ganged up on Magneto. And then I realized that one of Magneto's plot things is to move everybody 2 squares, which including himself. So instead of wasting an action to break away, I was like, all right, everybody move. So I repositioned everyone because they were all within the range of him, and so he managed to fly away from the people that were about to kill him and get back to his supporter. And I spent a couple of turns trying to support him, but was missing again, needing like a 6. So every time I tried to do something, my dice were just like, no, we don't feel like doing that this turn. So I still had that Wolverine gunning for me, and Venus de Milo didn't really do anything in the game. It was mostly Wolverine just really hurting people. So he had taken out Cyclops at one point and just like annihilated him. And at one point I was down to, I had Surge, and my hypersonic student was pecking away at Mystique. And but I wasn't able to actually get her down before his just like rampaging Wolverine was taking out my guys, because on top of the sidestep and the charge and the blades, if he's closer to my starting line than his starting line, he gets flurry. So he was just ripping through my team. I managed to actually successfully heal Magneto back up to the top, and missed again with him. And the next time I wasn't so lucky in trying to get away from Wolverine, and it ended up with me just getting annihilated, and I took nothing from his team, even though I did get a critical hit with my hypersonic student to do like a big amount of damage on Mystique, and I think that was the most damage I did on her all game. And anyway, so he managed to take me out. And then, I don't know if you've noticed, I didn't mention that Skids did anything in that game because I forgot to put her on the map. So we were actually, I was talking with a bunch of friends afterwards about how my team went, and how like my dice were just like, no, you don't get to do anything. And then they're like, well, what did Skids do? And I'm like, oh, I forgot that Skids was on my team. So I went into that game 40 points under without even thinking about it. My team did what it was supposed to on the bye.
Better go ahead, so you can't use your senses.
So I did so poorly that my next round I was on the bye. But we ended up playing the bye because we had, our judge was like, yeah, let's play the bye. And he wanted to get packs too. So I was already winning because I was on the bye, but we ended up playing out the game. And we were on the Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost Bridge, Rainbow Bridge map, where you can go from one side of the map to the other because of the Rainbow Bridge connection. And so he was playing Moira McTaggart, Kitty Pryde, Angel, I believe, and Beast, and All New Wolverine. I'm not sure on the Angel. So there's like these elevated buildings, like 4 of them, and then a fountain in the middle. So I had my team split up as I had Title Magneto and Cyclops and the male student on one side, and then all my other female characters, so Surge and Skids, put Skids on the board this time, and my trainee on the other side. And then so his characters had split too, and he had moved up with his All New Wolverine, and in one turn Magneto and Cyclops took her out. And then so I was shooting on, so it's Iceman, not Angel. I was shooting on Beast and Angel with Magneto and Cyclops, and his Iceman was shooting back. And then on the other side I had my girls, so Skids and Surge, and the trainee, the hypersonic trainee, going after Shadowcat and Moira. And he managed to get a few good hits on my characters, but it just wasn't enough, and everybody had stayed close enough that Magneto was able to do his title plot point thing of just everybody was boosting up their attacks. So I had +1 attacks all over the place, and took out Iceman and Beast, and then was taking down Shadowcat and Moira. And at one point we had one of our friends was watching the game, and because it's a bye, we're like, whatever, we're having a fun game. And they're just like, you killed your character there with like a 4th or a 5th action. And I was like, oh, but I have leadership. Oh, but I only have 4 action. It's like, okay, we'll take that back. I didn't actually kill that character. We'll wait until next turn. And then of course we waited till next turn and I killed the character. So I ended up wiping his team, even though it doesn't really matter because it was a bye anyways. Magneto versus Magneto. Magneto wins! So in my final game ended up being kind of like a mirror match, with him having the title Magneto as well. And this was a young guy named Nolan, and he had come out for the first time to our venue as well. And so this match, we knew that it was going to be which Magneto got that first attack in was pretty much going to win. So we had played on the Shield Helicarrier, which has the one of the fighter jets. So I was kind of being tentative about moving forward, and he was being really aggressive about moving forward. And he had I had put my Magneto up on the fighter jet, and he came in with his beast. So he had Title Magneto, X-Factor Beast, Husk, Mercury, and Angel. And so all of my characters kind of went around this fighter jet to kind of protect Magneto and make sure that I had it set up properly for Magneto to do his good attack against the other Magneto, until he threw Beast in my face. And I was like, I can deal with this. It's fine. I got this. It should have been like a 1 turn, Beast was dead. I just went up against a Beast. Come on, I can do this. So it ended up being, I was throwing everything at this Beast. I'm constantly rolling 4s and 5s, and I'm wishing so much that I had Prob, and it just wasn't going my way. So it took me like 3 or 4 turns to finally kill this Beast. But in the meantime, he's got the better position on me. He's surrounded my whole team. I have Skids doing barrier when she can, which doesn't really matter because Angel's just gonna fly over the barrier and drop people in my face, which is what he did. And so at one point I got my Magneto lined up, but his was lined up first, and he got the first shot in with his Magneto. So my Magneto is now halfway through his dial. 1 more shot, he's gonna be dead. And that Beast is still alive. So once I finally got rid of the Beast, I'm basically crippled. He knew to take out my healer right away, so that guy was just dead. So I'm like, alright, I have a crippled Magneto and no way to get him healed back up. So, and he is being really smart in the fact that he's got the Title Magneto too, so he was watching his dial. So he's like, okay, well, I'm here, but I now know you're here, so I'm going to do this. So he's basically strategically killing off my Magneto. And once Magneto was done, then that puts a damper down on my team, and everybody is now -1. And so I had Surge left, and I was like, Surge can do a lot of damage, she's awesome, she's hypersonic, and then dropped me down to a point where I couldn't hurt anybody because I had Mercury had shape change and defenses, and then Husk was able to pick invulnerable every time. Like, I barely even touched his team. I killed the Beast, and that was pretty much it. And then his team was able to capitalize on getting that first shot with Magneto and just took me out. So I ended up going 1 and 2 for the X-Men pre-release. So I just finished up now doing a 400-point golden, and I wanted to play more X-Men characters because I haven't gotten to play since the beginning of the month. So my team was the Headmaster Wolverine, and all-new Wolverine, Oya, Brew, and Hellion. So my first game was up against my buddy Adam, and I have mentioned on Casual Corner before that anytime that me and Adam are together on a Golden Age tournament, we play on Krakoa and we play with the rules. So he was playing a Justice League team that had Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. It was Trinity Batman and Wonder Woman, but then he was using World's Finest Super Rare Superman just to fill up because it was 400 points. So first round, we end up, and he also had Henry on there just to fill up that last 15 points. But playing on Krakoa, first round, first Earthquake, Henry's dead. So my big guy, Wolverine, he's got toughness, and Brew has toughness, but everybody else is taking damage every time we had Earthquake. And for the first, like, 5 rounds, there was just Earthquakes. Everybody were both rolling 4s. So Hellion ended up dying before he did anything. So Hellion's dead. Henry's dead. I have refused to put Jonathan out, all new Wolverine's Badger, Wolverine, because I don't want him to die to an Earthquake. So I managed to take out Batman right away with all new Wolverine, and she just slaughtered him. And then I had Wolverine going after Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman come in with a really big attack with the possibility of doing like 6 damage to my Wolverine, and she missed. Wouldn't have made too much of a difference because of all of his stop clicks, but it was still, now she's vulnerable. I was able to surround her with both Wolverine and all new Wolverine, and was just laying on the damage until she was like, oh, I'm just gonna sidestep out of this. And the problem is that one side of the map is elevated with the entrances being on the far sides. So because his team flew and mine didn't, he was just like, oh, see ya. So I'm like, all right, now I gotta walk around to get to you. And one of the problems with Wolverine being on his stop click is that he doesn't have a damage reducer on it. So I was taking down my stop clicks because Superman kept hypersonicking in, doing enough damage to put Wolverine on stop click, and my regens were like a 1 or a 2. So I wasn't regenning back anywhere near where I needed to be. So at one point we had an earthquake go off, and I'm like, okay, so I'm clicking there, like, all right, so, well, Hellions already dead, and I was like, oh, look, this person's dead. And then I'm like, oh, no, Wolverine doesn't have a damage reducer on there. He's dead. So Wolverine died to an earthquake. And I've got, I'm down to all new Wolverine, Oya, and Brew. Brew's not taking damage from the earthquakes because he has toughness, but Oya keeps taking damage too. So eventually, she dies to the earthquakes as well. So Hellion and Oya both die without actually doing anything. And I finally get around to the other side, and he brings his Wonder Woman down. So I'm like, all right, I can attack the Wonder Woman now. And, but Wonder Woman does a huge amount of damage on All New Wolverine. And I'm like, okay, so before she dies, I want to get rid of this Wonder Woman, because the Trinity Wonder Woman, if you have the Trinity, gives other characters support. So she gets regen at the end of her dial. So after Wolverine and All New Wolverine had like completely crippled her, she had run away to regen, and then Superman was supporting her. So she ended up coming back almost to the top of her dial before she came back at me. So I was really, really gunning to get this Wolverine, or this Wonder Woman, dead. So I ended up bringing out Jonathan to finally be like, I'm gonna get you! So I had Jonathan attack, so she got a good amount of damage in her, but not enough to kill her. And then at the end of that round, I rolled the 5, which is the shifting foliage, so all printed hindering terrain becomes blocking terrain, and anybody occupying it is pushed away and then dealt when penetrating damage. Jonathan happened to be in there, so he died. And I forgot about the fact that he would come back the first time he died, so he's dead. But I'm like, all right, he did his damage, he's good, he dealt like 5 damage, like a $5 damage blades to Wonder Woman. I'm happy. So, and then Wonder Woman does a lot of damage to All New Wolverine, and she dies to an earthquake. So now I have Brew. I am down to Brew. And Superman decides to come in and hang out. So I have Superman down, Wonder Woman down, and I have it lined up that it's Brew, Superman, Wonder Woman. Brew is now in his Brood form. So he now has Charge, Blades, Exploit Weakness. So I'm like, alright, I'm gonna chance breaking away to try and kill Wonder Woman, because she's low enough on her dial that if any good roll with my blades, I will kill her. Or I don't even have to use my blades because Exploit Weakness, whatever. So I managed to get my breakaway, managed to run in, kill Wonder Woman. I was cheering that Wonder Woman finally died. But then Superman killed Brew, and no, Superman didn't kill Brew, but because he has stop clicks. So Superman got him onto a stop click and then rolled an earthquake, finished the game, which everything on my team, including Jonathan, died to Krakoa. Oh, one of my characters died to an actual Krakoa attack. I don't remember which one, but one of them died to an actual attack rather than one of the earthquakes. So yeah, everybody that died on my team died to Krakoa. But I managed to kill Batman and Henry, so. Then my second game was up against one of our local guys that I've mentioned before that likes to come in for Golden Age tournaments whenever we have, so that he can play his Yu-Gi-Oh teams. So he had a Yu-Gi-Oh team. That was Dark Magician Girl, Gaia, I don't remember the full name because it read Gaia, the Magician of Faith, and a Witch. Now the Witch had the Ring of Magnetism on it. Now last time I played against this team, I mentioned the Ring of Magnetism. It is assigned to a character, and then that character, unless you are attacking that character, you get -2 to your attack, and if you're attacking that character, they get -2 to their defense. So we ended up on the Madripoor map, and I moved really far ahead with Wolverine because he has 10 movement. So I had him dancing around the backside, and I've got to track down this witch. And the problem with the witch is that she is phasing. So anytime I was able to get Wolverine to get to her, she'd phase away. So And I was slowly moving up with my other guys so that they could, like, using their sidestep and everything so that they could be in a good position when I needed them to be. So I had Wolverine had chased the witch to one side and she phased to the other side of the map, which lined it up for me to have Hellion TK all new Wolverine in. And I managed to hit her, which takes the ring off. And I'm like, okay, so we've got a good point now where I don't have to worry about those modifications. So at that point, Wolverine was taking out Gaia. Now, this is all happening over... By this time, we're like at round 6 or 7, because we had spent many rounds just maneuvering and getting to that point in the map. And he also had another relic from the Millennial Puzzle that gives prob, and he was spending a couple turns trying to equip that relic, or pick up the relic with the successful relic roll. So we're pretty far into the game at this point, once we actually start attacking things. And he's able to hit all new Wolverine a little bit, but it's not enough to really cripple her, and then she also has her healing ability. But we ended up, I ended up trying to take out the rest of the witch the rest of the way with Oya. And it ended up that she got to a point on her dial where she could bring back a spell or trap or whatever this thing is classified as. So she brought back the ring of magnetism, where I'm like, ah. So Wolverine had managed to do a fair amount of damage to Gaia, but it wasn't enough to, like, really take him out yet. But the problem was now the ring was back, so now I'm dealing with this whole -2 attack thing. So I've got, only Wolverine has been hurt enough that she's not moving and attacking her at all. So I just pull her back to stand with the rest of the guys. And Hellion ended up dying. So now I don't have my TK to throw people around. So I have Wolverine dealing with Gaia, and then I have my other 3, only Wolverine, Oya, and Brew, trying to deal with taking out this witch who's got the ring back. So, oh, sorry, actually, I did kill the witch. It's the Healer of Faith, or Magician, the Faith person, that brought it back onto her. So I did take out the witch, and it's not the witch I'm after again, it's the other person. So the witch did die, but then the ring got put back on a new person. So now I'm fighting the new person. And I had originally started targeting her because she had prob. Now this team was just filled with prob. Everybody on it could prob, and he had theme prob, and he was just like, I prob this, and it got very frustrating. So it got to a point where, with a giant smile on my face and laughter in my voice, I let my frustration get the best of me and started yelling and swearing because it was very, very frustrating that I had to go through like 3 probs each turn, and I'm also dealing with ridiculously modified attacks because of this ring relic thing. So I finally got to a point where I had Brew turned into a Brood. So he had moved forward and attacked. And he, I was able to kind of just force him to use his probs. So I needed, I think I needed a 6 or something. Like, I didn't need high. But I was like, okay, I'm going to roll this high. Okay, I'm going to roll this high. Okay, I'm going to roll this high. And then, like, the 4th time, like, forcing him to use up his probs, it's like, okay, now I hit. I blades you. Okay, you're not dead yet, but you're going to be dead. So I had all new Wolverine charge in, because with her at the beginning of the turn healing, she was able to go back up to a charge click. So I had her come in, and then I'm like, all right, I hit. Okay, 6 on my blades, and then he wanted to use a theme prob, but I'm like, no. I made sure you couldn't use any more of your probs. They're all used up. You need to take that. So finally the 6 damage was able to take it out, and I'm like, all right, fine. Okay, I can breathe. We're good. But then on his turn, he sacrificed Gaia to bring in the dark magician thing. I'll put the name there for you guys. But it's one of the ritual ones where you sacrifice someone with the dark keyword, and then you're able to bring in this big beast of a thing. And I'm like, I used to play this guy when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I know how much of just a beast he is. I don't want to deal with this. But it happened to be that just getting this far in the game, we had like minutes left. So I'm like, all right, Wolverine, you're breaking away. He's moving across the map. All of my guys were moving back. So I pulled back everyone. Pulled back, healed up Wolverine, healed up all new Wolverine. And then it got to a point where time had been called right as he did a running shot with Dark Magician Girl, who had taken the running shot from the other dark guy. And I theme probbed it, but he only needed like a 6. So then all new Wolverine died right at the last action, but because he had sacrificed Gaia, I ended up winning the game. And then my third round, I ended up on the bye. I know I was 1-1, but just because there was only 6 of us, it ended up being that way. I couldn't play someone I had already played, and I didn't have enough points to be in the top, so I ended up on the bye. So it considered a win, but we played it out anyway. So our judge, Aiden, was playing the Super Friends, Spider-Man and his Super Friends, but without the team base. So he just had the Iceman and the Spider-Man and the Firestar. And we played on one of the city maps. And so he had moved forward, and I moved forward. And then, like, the next turn, I used Hellion to TK all new Wolverine at Spider-Man, and missed. And then I had Wolverine charge at Iceman, and just did a bunch of damage to him. Didn't take him out yet, but did a bunch of damage to him. And then, so he came back with Spider-Man, and because Spider-Man, it was a Golden Age tournament, he was using an Ultra Heavy, and one-shotted, just annihilated all new Wolverine. So she was gone. And I was like, oh no! I forget sometimes with this new design of, like, this is why they got rid of Ultra Heavies. It's like, so okay, what am I gonna do now? So I sidestepped Oya and Hellion to the right way so that Oya could double target Iceman and Spider-Man. Now she's got the fun thing with her, like, fire and ice that if you target 2 characters after resolutions, you can deal 1 penetrating damage to one and an action token to the other. So she ended up doing enough damage that brought Iceman down to his last click. So I'm like, alright, I'll just throw an action token on Spider-Man, which will do nothing because he's already double token, and I'll deal that extra damage to knock out Iceman. So now Iceman's dead. And then, so he brought Firestar forward, and she attacked Wolverine and gave him some fire tokens. And that was, she has a thing where when she hits someone, she gives them 2 fire tokens, and then she can get free action to remove a fire token to deal damage to people, and she deals penetrating damage whenever she deals damage. So she hit Wolverine onto his stop click, because, like, his second click or something is a stop click. And then Wolverine retaliated with, it got to where we were lined up. He was closer to Aiden's starting area than mine, so Wolverine had Flurry. So he missed the first attack, but then the second attack was like 6 on his blades and one-shotted Firestar. So then the fire tokens didn't matter. So then it was like my entire team minus all new Wolverine against Spider-Man. So Oya, he actually had a Wolverine ID card, so he called in Wolverine. And this was the Wolverine and the X-Men Wolverine, the switch click one. And he called in Wolverine and healed up Spider-Man one, and then charged with Wolverine. And didn't do enough damage because he only rolled 2 on his blades, so Oya was still alive. And then I broke away sidestep with Oya and double targeted the Wolverine and the Spider-Man, which, why not? So I could get the extra damage, just put the extra damage on the Spider-Man, and didn't really matter that I put a token on Wolverine. So the next turn, he's gone, and then Spider-Man's like, I'm really hurting, I don't know what to do here. So he attacked, didn't do any damage, and then Wolverine came in with his Flurry, and first turn, just didn't even have to do blades. It was just like, alright, you're done. So then that was that game. So I was getting the win on that anyways because it's a bye, but we ended up playing it out and had fun with my team. And we got to see that Wolverine ID card is going to be very, very, very good. With the inspiration just being Heroclix. So bringing him out in the right situations next to the right characters, and then also, you know, dropping a Wolverine in someone's face is, yeah, that's gonna be a good ID card to have out there. So that was my 2 X-Men, right? And so that was Casual Corner for this week, and we'll see you guys next time.